You're listening to the Main Street Deal, part of Main Street Media. I'm Jordan. It's Thursday, June 18th, 2026. Today's story is about Sarah and Matthew, who bought an auto shop in Aspen, Colorado. Sarah and Matthew grew up together in Aspen, which tells you something about where they started. They studied aerospace engineering, went into venture capital, and spent years funding other people's companies. The whole time, they wanted to build something of their own. So they started writing business plans. Over several years, they put together 25 pitch decks for 25 different ideas, and not one of them got traction. A podcast eventually reframed the question entirely. Instead of asking what business to start, ask what business already works and buy it. They stopped chasing ideas and started looking at listings. The business they found was in their own backyard. The only auto repair shop in Aspen, Colorado, a business so well run by its manager that longtime customers thought he was the owner. It had been there long enough to be part of the town's fabric. When they found it, it was doing $2.6 million in revenue and generating $500,000 in profit. The asking price was $1.5 million for two engineers with venture capital careers. The challenge was not evaluating the deal. It was funding it. They did not have $1.5 million sitting around, so they went to their personal network and raised 20% of the purchase price, $300,000, from friends and family who believed in them. The remaining 80%, or $1.2 million, came through an SBA loan that put personal guarantees on the line, equity from people they knew personally at risk, and a business they had never operated in their hands. Their plan was straightforward. Give the manager an equity stake, learn the business from him, and let the machine keep running. 6 weeks after closing, the manager quit. Sarah and Matthew described that moment as their fetal position moment. They had investors to answer to. They had an SBA loan with their names on it. They had no idea how to run an auto shop. They were not mechanics. They did not know the scheduling software, the vendor relationships, the labor dynamics, or how to write up a repair order. They knew they had to figure it out fast because the alternative was handing a failed business back to a lender while their friends lost their money. So they went all in. For 6 months, they ran the front desk themselves, opening at 7:30 in the morning and working until 9 at night. They learned every system. They asked questions to technicians that probably sounded ridiculous. They refused to pull any income out of the business. They focused entirely on keeping the shop running and the remaining employees from walking. The turnaround was real. 13 months after closing, they bought out every investor at a 2x return. The shop this year is on track for $3,400,000 in revenue and $780,000 in profit. That's up from $2,600,000 in revenue and $500,000 in profit when they bought it. A 31% jump in revenue and a 5-6 increase in profit in just over a year of ownership. They credit a few things for the improvement: being present operators rather than absentee owners from day one, even though that presence was forced on them; paying attention to what the prior management had under-prioritized; taking care of the technicians who stayed through the chaos, because in a market like Aspen, where finding skilled trades workers is genuinely hard, keeping the people you have matters more than almost anything else. There is a version of this story where it ends badly. If Sarah and Matthew had frozen when the manager quit, or tried to sell the business quickly to cut their losses, they would have burned through their investors' money and triggered their personal guarantees. That outcome was not theoretical. It was the direct consequence of a risk that every buyer faces when they close on a business where one person is load-bearing. The manager quitting is not a black swan. It happens in ownership transitions more often than sellers or brokers will say out loud before the deal closes. Here's the takeaway that matters this week, wherever you are in your search. If your acquisition plan depends on the person who built the business sticking around to run it for you, you need a plan B before you close, not after they hand in their notice. During your due diligence, before you're committed, go through the business and identify every person who is indispensable and ask specifically what happens if they leave. How long would it take you to get operationally competent in this business if you had to? What would it cost to replace the key employee? What systems would break down and how quickly? These are not comfortable questions to ask a seller. Ask them anyway. The time to pressure test your transition plan is when you still have leverage. After you close, you are committed, and committed with a personal guarantee. Sarah and Matthew made it work because they had the resilience to go all in when the plan fell apart. Not everyone has that capacity. Know before you close which version of this story you're actually prepared to live. That's it for Thursday. Find all of Main Street Media's shows wherever you listen. Subscribe, leave a review, and I'll see you Monday in the deal room.